Marriage is a marathon, and the work starts just like you prepare for a marathon, you prepare for marriage. And once you get into that marathon, you have to keep working.
Yeah.
It's not a sprint. Like some people sprint to the wedding and then they get there
Yes.
and
Oh,
then what?
that's a whole.
They sprint to the
That's a
wedding
good
because
one, babe.
they want to be married, but then once you say I do what?
Yeah, that I do comes into
I
I
do
don't
what?
real quick.
Right. Welcome to the Win Love Alliance podcast. We're your co-hosts, Bashe and Tara Williams. The purpose of this podcast is to challenge the narrative, disrupt the status quo, while being a voice of reason for singles, couples, families in the black community.
And for healthy, practical, and unconventional ways to heal, build, and grow your relationship, join us weekly here on the Win Love Alliance podcast.
Officially married,
Yes.
and then the work starts.
Yeah. After the wedding,
Yeah,
the real work begins.
yeah. The wedding planning was fun.
Yeah.
You get to know a person.
But first, I got to go here.
Okay.
This is why we suited up today.
Okay.
We got our hoodies on
Yeah,
and our
We're
sneakers.
comfortable.
We are comfortable because this is the apparel you need to go to work
Yeah, yeah. You need to
in
be
your
comfortable,
marriage, your relationship, and life. So absolutely,
but still fly. But yeah,
yes,
so yeah, after the wedding, let's talk about the wedding, us getting married, August 1st, 2020.
yeah,
God gave me that particular date, woke me
Yes.
up out of nowhere, which is like August 1st, 2020. I called you. I said August 1st. You said, what day is that? I said I didn't even look at the calendar, but I knew that's what God told me. And
Why do
so
you think he told you that?
alignment.
Okay, so explain alignment?
So August 1st, I forgot what the numbers, the 8, the 1, the 20. It was a Saturday. It was a beautiful day. But I knew we needed to pick a date, and it also takes away the anxiety of everything. It's just like trying to plan a date. It was just like August 1st, 2020,
yeah,
and you were like, okay,
yeah,
okay.
yeah.
So yeah, so we wedding planning was funny.
That was February though, right?
Yeah.
That was February, and then a month later, COVID hits,
Mm-hmm.
and I remember you saying, "Hey, you know what? I don't want to be apart from you during COVID."
Mm-hmm.
And like that was a kind of like a thought that had come to my mind. Like COVID is sitting. Like when are we gonna get to see each other? And you were like, I'm just coming to stay with you.
Mm-hmm.
And it was funny because during that time I had made a point to clean. I just started cleaning
Mm-hmm.
out closets, purging, getting rid of stuff. And I remember I had cleaned half of my closet out so it could have space for my husband.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I'm real big on creating the energy and the space. And so I started purging, started getting rid of stuff even before you.
So the work is preparing. It
Yeah.
starts before
Yeah.
everything. Okay.
And we say after the wedding, the real work begins. But yeah, the real work begins in a sense when you're trying to create space and
Yeah.
energy. It does start in advance because if you're creating space for your husband, you got to actually do that
Right.
within your space. And so when it was really a blessing for you and Nicholas to come, and we stay together and be together in that time because we learned about each other too.
Mm-hmm.
Now we were celibate.
Abstinent.
Is that the right word? I always mess it up. Abstinence.
The
Real quick, tell them
the
the
difference
difference.
between abstinence and celibate. So celibate, like when people practice celibacy, they don't even want relationships. So they're completely abstaining from relationship, connection, opportunities for dating, all those different things. So when you say abstinent, I'm abstaining from that particular thing. So we were abstaining from sex. And we were very intentional, and we had one conversation about it. It wasn't this convincing. It wasn't anybody trying to manipulate that. It wasn't anybody trying to play around and pretend like they're not abstinent and they're just waiting for an opportunity. It wasn't anything. We were both on the same page when it comes to abstaining from sex, and we did that for the entire time before we got married.
Yeah, and that was another. I have to tap into that. That was another a piece of alignment.
Yeah.
Because how rare is it you meet somebody? I mean, well, for me, I don't know about you. Like people say they want to be abstinent, but then and nobody's perfect. We all stumble and fall, and like I said, God will send you those test dummies, and you crash with them if you're not.
Sometimes we're the test dummies.
Yeah, exactly. So that was another place of alignment for us, and we were both committed to it.
Yeah, and I'll tell you. So moving there, so my idea of COVID and not really understanding what's going on, but I said I would rather be next to you instead of chancing of getting sick and not being able to see you.
Yeah, yeah.
And I had my place, you had your place, and it was enough space for us to come. But we'll get into that too because it's an interesting dynamic. That whole ego thing of a man is not supposed to move into a woman's house, that I really struggled with for a while. Even after we got married.
Yeah. And I had my own struggles. But so the real work does begin after you get married. I mean, because I think in the dating, engagement, and wedding planning phase, you're caught up in that. When all of that is over and you're home from the honeymoon and that day-to-day sets in, that's when the work really starts to take shape, and what does that look like? And I think really what we want our viewers to get today from this message is that you have to establish a lot of methods or systems in a way, not to be super structured, for how you're going to navigate with one another.
And also be flexible because you can have a plan and it may not work.
Exactly.
You can come with an individual plan. We even came up with stuff we agreed with and had to switch it up and change it.
Yeah.
But I think one of the things that we did was so important for us is when we created our vision board together.
Yeah. Yeah, we got after the wedding. I think we did it before the wedding.
Yeah.
Actually.
So again, the work starts prior. We were in therapy. We
never
fast
left.
together. We
Still
never
go
left.
to this day.
Same therapist. So we were in therapy. We were praying together. We had a video that went viral. How we prayed. We'll talk about that. But again, we were laying a foundation that prepared us. We were in work, in process.
Yeah.
And
the work continued.
The work continued. One of the things I said, people say, you want an elaborate wedding? It's COVID. I said, no, I want an elaborate marriage.
Yeah. No, I'm going to give you the exact words. You were like, I don't want an extravagant wedding. I want an extravagant marriage. And I thought that was so special to me. Like, I got emotional with that because I've never, I just couldn't, in my mind, like, we're not spending goo gobs of millions of dollars and having this ridiculous wedding. And I'm not knocking anybody who does. That's your thing. I'm not knocking you. But for me, us getting married at home, at our home, and it just made it special. And with COVID, we had the special people there that, because we like 15 people each because of just what was going on at the time.
That. Even before COVID hit, like we discussed the wedding,
small.
And we both said we was going to have 10 to 15 people each.
Yeah.
And then COVID hit, which reinforced the things that we said.
Yeah.
And we actually probably had about 20 to 25 each.
Yeah.
But it was important. And then Ava, who said, why don't y'all have it in the cul-de-sac?
That's our daughter, have it in the cul-de-sac. Yeah. So shout out to Nikki, my best friend for a million years. Planned our whole wedding, and we had a tent in the cul-de-sac. All our neighbors knew, and they supported it. And they came for drinks after, and it was just really super special. And everything that happened for our wedding was even alignment. Just from the videographer, shout out to Abby. And he came all the way from Texas and just blessed us.
Emmy Award winning
videographer, just blessed us with an amazing wedding video. And then you flew him out to surprise me on our honeymoon, and he got more footage. He was just amazing.
Yeah.
Is that Malek Wedding Photos?
Yeah.
On IG.
But here, let's go back to the work. Cause
I'm sorry, y'all.
I
got all off into the wedding thing. But
I'm just thinking about how husbandry or husbandhood was expedited in that process.
Yeah.
With you breaking your ankle.
Oh my gosh, yes. No, I tore ligaments. Tore ligaments in my ankle like about a month and a half before the wedding. When I found out I needed to have surgery, it was it was almost a month from the wedding. So I already knew I couldn't wear heels, but you took great care of me. I got on your nerves, I'm sure, because I'm not a person that sits still.
Yeah,
I was on my little rolling cart.
Yeah. I learned that she, regardless of what the doctor says, she gonna do her. What is that? What you hate? The strong.
Yeah, I was being a strong, independent. But the work that does happen is, I think, the willingness to do the work. I think a lot of people, we really want to share how important therapy is at any stage in a relationship and carrying that throughout your relationship. So who we saw when we were dating started January 2020, we still see her today. We just had a session last week. We see twice a month. Because I think people see therapy as this, you don't go till you have to go. And it's this place that creates opportunity in your marriage and space for you to resolve problems and talk about them and find solutions. So, it's just really a good thing to have that
Yeah.
as part of the work, starting with therapy.
Yeah.
And then, as I said earlier, not we could have a plan, but having kind of like, this is how we're going to communicate on this.
Yeah, you have to be open and, like you said, willing to learn a person.
Yeah.
And that's where I was. I was willing to learn, even in her own space, how she operates. Because again, I'm moving into her space. So I had to sit back and say, I know how I ran things at my place. I know what I wanted, but I had to get out of that. I had to remove the ego. I had to put it to the side and just watch how she moves. And even if I didn't agree with it, that's an opportunity for a conversation. It doesn't mean that, we just got to go where she says, I just don't agree. No, it's an opportunity for a conversation, and that's where we were. We were open to having that opportunity to have that conversation.
Yeah.
Because we needed that in order to get married, stay married,
Yeah.
and continue to have this relationship.
Yeah. And communication is a huge thing.
Yeah.
Like, what we're learning and still learning to this day is how the other person communicates. And this is something that was a breakthrough in therapy. Like, my entire professional career and being a single parent was all around having to be listened to, not me having to listen as much as I was being listened to. Because I was coming to for, I'm a retired high school principal. When you're in leadership positions, you're helping everyone else or talking to someone else, and you listen, but it's a difference. And I really found how much, I had to learn about listening when it comes to my husband to this day. But in an effort to do that, one thing I do want to share when we're talking about work in a marriage is, hey, if you have what is seen as a deficiency or something that's negatively contributing to a marriage, what do you do about it? So I would sign up. I took a listening course. Still need to go back and look at more of it. And be in that space of willingness to learn how to correct or better serve your partner through educating yourself on tools and strategies.
Yeah.
So, that's huge, because I think that's a part of, like, turning down your ego and turning up the listening for your partner. So we said therapy, we said communication, and the willingness to learn how to cater and meet the needs of your partner. Because ultimately, through your learning, you're helping yourself grow.
And being open to that suggestion of, hey, maybe you should take a listening course.
Yeah.
And it has to be delivered in the appropriate way. Like, you need to go take this listening course because you need to listen to me. It's just like, I think this would be beneficial for our marriage.
Yeah.
Because this is what I need. I need to be listened to. Like, I need to be heard in a marriage. And I had to get to the point where I can express that, as opposed to just ignoring my needs and thinking it's supposed to happen magically, or telling myself I just won't get this.
Yeah.
So when we're working on ourselves, we're finding our voice for ourselves, and then we can share it within our partnership. But we kind of dancing around the ego thing with the whole house situation.
Let me let him get this out, y'all, because
because I need to get this.
Yeah, because this was something that he had to work on, because it was impacting both of us. So when we say the real work begins, you had to do some, like, internal work.
So society, right? Society paints a picture, right? Your parents tell you something. You hear, a man is supposed to provide. We're supposed to have the house, and a woman's supposed to move in with us, or even like we're supposed to buy the house together. That's not what happened with us. In addition to that, I had planned for 2 years, saved money, was talking to a realtor, told my son, Nicholas, that, in 2018, I told him in 2020, we're buying a house. You're going to be out of middle school. You're going to be out of that same school, and we're going to go buy a house somewhere. So I'm in negotiations, meeting with the realtor, a meeting with the bank, working on everything. I got everything structured, and all of a sudden we meet, and she has a house. What does my ego say?
No,
Okay,
we getting another house.
yeah, we getting. I'm gonna stay there because it's COVID, but we gonna buy another house after we get married.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm literally, there was a house for sale right across, like right across. You look out the window, there's a house for sale. It's bigger. I was like, we should go get that house. When we have everything we need inside the house that she already purchased, everything that we need, four
I've been in that
bedrooms,
house for 10 years.
basement, like 3 baths. I mean, it had everything that I was actually looking for myself. And it was gonna be my at the time it was just me and Nicholas, and I was going to get a 4-bedroom, 3-bath basement, everything, backyard, and I now it's presented to me, and now my ego says, don't move into
But
it.
why? I want to tap into that because, like, really, what I think it's a deeper issue than what my parents told me and what society said. Did you feel in any way that I was gonna be hanging something over your head or not welcoming you, making you feel the space, and
Well, I don't think so. That's all
What
in.
was-
That's all in the same thing. So society says don't move into a woman, and she's
I'm
in
talking
control.
about you. Let go of
look,
society.
no. See now. See, you see it in action. You see, you asked me a question, and you're trying to answer it. But no, it's part of what society. So we're taught that we're the providers, right? So in my head, I need to provide for you, not you providing for me.
Yeah.
So that's me. That's part of also my ego, my plan. Hold on, this is throwing me off my plan, right? You're supposed to be moving in with me. We're supposed to be buying something together. You hear the stories like my father says, you don't move in with a woman. You sure you want to do that? We're having that conversation.
Yeah.
Because there is an opportunity and there is a threat because you've seen it, you experience it as a couples therapist. I've seen people try to dominate or try to use or control because something is their property. You can get out the house,
Yeah.
right? So
Yes.
if somebody says that, so in my head, I'm thinking, oh, she's going to tell me to get out of her house.
Yeah. But
If an argument happens, she's going to tell me to get out of her house, and now I got to do something else.
Yeah. So one thing that I did, because I wanted you to feel comfortable, and it was a challenge for me too, because I had, worked hard to get the house, and and it was in my eyes, it was like, this is all I got. Like, this is my property, and I was there. But then, in wanting you to feel comfortable, adding your name to the deed, I knew that was important for you, and that was like a process for me to really think of, like, well, why would he think I'm putting him out? Like, why would he think I would do that? Like, but then I said, it's the importance of that. And I think that's something we have to realize in doing the work is, yes, you're not losing anything. He's not a subtraction sign. He's an addition. And so me putting his name on the deed and him being in that space of feeling comfortable and trusting that I trusted him enough to do that, like that, I think really kind of made. Did you feel more comfortable with that? Like,
That wasn't really about me. That was something that my dad was like, make sure you get your name on the deed. And
all right, so I'm gonna take you off.
but that's fine. So by that time, I was thinking business wise,
Yeah.
of getting another property to do some business with,
Yeah.
right? So I didn't think, and all the money that I had saved. Here's again when my ego comes in.
Yeah.
So I'm coming in. I was like, all right, the basement's not done. That's going to be one project. The backyard's not done. I'm going to put a patio back there. One of the rooms is not furnished. I'm going to put furniture in there. I'm going to furnish the bedroom. I'm going to get a new bed. I'm going to get a new area. I'm going to get new couches. I'm going to get all these different things. So I'm flooding you with.
And it was overwhelming.
Overwhelming. Wayfair, Amazon, all these different things coming in every single day in the house, new colors, new paint. I'm having people coming in like I'm
I
making
thought
this.
you was being so selfish.
Yeah, no, I was talking to you.
But listen to that. You were doing so much for us, but I saw it as a selfish thing, and it like really drove me up a wall. All the buying and all the because here's me over here saying, well, I got to contribute, but I'm not really in a position to contribute. And isn't it enough? The house is fine. Like we've been living, and it was just so much. And I never thought that you saw or heard that because you never stopped.
Let's talk about that. This is good. This is good. Because when we think about it, like for me, what I heard from you, all you would do is come home and go to your room. go to the bedroom.
Mm-hmm.
So there were rooms unfinished,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so, and me, I like
Because it
to
was
get things
just
set.
me
Right.
there.
But now
it's more.
now it's us. So
Yeah.
I'm trying to get the house comfortable. And I'm telling you, while you're saying that you don't have anything to contribute or you can't contribute, I'm also telling you that's not what I need you to do.
Yeah.
So when we're going to choose a different couch, when we're going to choose different furnishings for different rooms,
I had decision fatigue.
yeah. And right now it's escapism.
No, yeah, no, I did. I had decision fatigue. That's when I knew it was a thing because it was so overwhelming for me because I didn't think that you heard me.
Mm.
I didn't think that you cared. It was all about, hey, I'm doing all this. I'm doing all this anyway. I'm doing all this anyway because I got to be. But what I had to realize is that you were doing it for us, a little bit for you, your ego, but you were doing it for us to have a space. And I came out of that saying that two things. One, yes, I used to come home and just go do this and do that. So that was a transition for me too, because I went from living completely by myself to now it's 4 people and a dog. That was a transition for me.
Mm-hmm.
And then, secondly, the whole part about, hey, you know what? My house is now a home. You made our house a home. Not just because you were buying a bunch of stuff, but it was the love and the willingness to want to create that space and do that work that was really valuable to me. And I acknowledge that. So thank you, Sugar.
You're welcome. You're welcome. And that's part of the work, right? Because we're both having different conversations in our head.
Yep.
Sometimes we're including each other and sometimes we're not.
Yeah.
Sometimes we hear each other but still move on our own. It's like, I heard you, but this is what it is.
Yeah.
And so sometimes we got to slow down and tell ourselves, am I really listening to what my partner is saying?
Yeah.
Am I really expressing what I really need? Or am I timid because I don't want to hurt their ego? Meanwhile, I'm minimizing myself.
Exactly.
I'm neglecting myself. And that's part of that work. Having more conversations,
Yeah.
not avoiding them.
Yeah.
Because there's work on so many different areas, like even thinking about our finances.
Yeah.
Like there was a time where, we had some of the same traumas,
Yeah.
like going through periods of career where something happens and then you struggling and you as money is funny and you're almost like, I was almost evicted at one time because of some stuff.
Yeah.
But being able to get on my feet and then realizing that I need to run this plan, my savings, my investing, navigating differently, and then coming out was like, okay, I have this saved, I have this structure, I have that, and I'm like telling you to come on board. I got you.
Yeah. And that was another processing moment for me too. Like, 'cause I never had anybody just come and say, I got you, and mean it.
Mm-hmm.
Or I got you, period, and create the space. So, I think in doing the work, you have to have grace for your partner. You have to have patience. Just because they're not latching on right away to what you're trying to do or trying to communicate, you have to give them the space to process it with them. But also, don't allow them to get stuck in that space either. Mm-hmm. Because, if you're doing something that's for the good of the relationship, it's not going to be, a negative outcome. But you have to walk through it and talk through it.
And it gets uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Again, you're hearing some of the conversations that we're just coming out now. We didn't even talk about before.
Yeah.
So that's why it's so important to continue to communicate. And I want to say this. I was doing some kind of self-reflection and then realizing like there are we talk about the enemy, right? The enemy doesn't want us to have this beautiful, stay connected marriage. Mm-hmm. The enemy doesn't want, that's one thing. But there are people who are rooting against marriage. Mm-hmm. Rooting against our marriage, rooting against your marriage, your relationship, your exes, people who don't believe in you, people who hate for no reason or hate for their internal reasons. Those things happen.
And then the picture that society paints about it. Yes, we have all of these really fluffy, wonderful weddings, but what is the work that's happening? And that's what, we really aim to educate everybody. Therapy is a thread. Communication and how you communicate and styles is a thread. Having patience and understanding for ego and, just transition in marriage You have to have those hard conversations and listen. And you don't always have to respond at that moment. You can had a conversation and say, hey, you know what, let me process this. It's Tuesday, let's circle back on Friday. And let's talk about it then. Have a way and a platform to communicate, because everything exists in communication, in words, in language. Everything exists. Nothing exists without that.
Please prepare to embrace submission.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful thing. It's not controlling. Because even when you submit, you still have a voice.
Yeah.
You don't lose your voice in submission. You gain partnership.
And it's just not the woman that has to submit.
No,
Yeah.
we submit all the time. We submit on a daily basis, on an hourly basis. We submit to everything that we didn't come up with the answer, or we didn't come up with the decision. We submit to somebody else's. Like I think about in business, right? If I just did not listen to a mentor, I did not listen or watch somebody else, or didn't take advice of somebody else, then I don't know if I would be here to this day.
Yeah.
If I didn't trust you and submit to some of the ideas that you have for me, for my business wouldn't be where it is. So when we talk about contribution, it's not always going to look the same. It's going to look like partnership. And I think about that when you say, I don't have anything to contribute, because we still talk about that to this day. I'm not contributing this month. I'm not doing that. I don't need you to do that. I need you to see how much of a foundation, how much you provide for me to get up and be the creative. Get up for me to focus on other things, because now that one thing that's been bothering me, that's been plaguing me, is gone. It's off my plate. The plate is clear, so I can add something to it. Right? And that's what it looks like. But it's the conversation and also the validation. Because sometimes I realize you need that. Like I have to slow you down and say, babe, I'm not asking you for $1. I'm asking you to clear the space so I can go get the $1. And then we're going to split it.
Yeah.
We're going to share it.
Yeah. Yeah. So, it's
She's processing that.
Yeah, I'm processing. I'm gonna circle back on Friday. No, but no, it's very important that you have this vision that how you want your marriage to be, and it's not a fantasy vision, right? It's a vision for how are we operating, how are we going to work our communication, how are we going to work our finances, how are we going to work our travel, how we're going to work our work.
Yeah.
If you're doing business with your partner, that's just, you have to remember, to separate that. How are we going to work our intimacy, and how are we going to resolve disconnect? So the work does begin. We say after the wedding, the work does begin. A lot of it individually begins before, collectively in that engagement phase for what marriage should look like. And we're not saying every day is going to be Coachella. We're just saying that you have to have these things in place, but also giving your partner the space, right? Giving your partner the space that also allows them to be themselves and accept that. Yeah,
marriage is a marathon, and the work starts just like you prepare for a marathon. You prepare for marriage, and once you get into that marathon, you have to keep working.
Yeah,
it's not a sprint. Like some people sprint to the wedding, and then they get there.
Yes. Oh, that's a whole.
They sprint to the wedding because they want to be married, but then once you say I do what?
Yeah, that I do comes into I don't real quick.
Right.
And you have to really think about that. That's really good.
Because look, we created our vision board prior to our marriage, and we still use it every day. We have to go to our vision board.
We fall off sometimes.
Yeah, no, I shouldn't have said every day.
Yeah. We fall off sometimes. So, but it's important to still have that consistency. But I think what creates this consistency is the willingness to do that. The willingness to say, okay, this is prayer time. This is vision board time. This is whatever time. We were just talking about last week doing a whole sweep and a re-anointing of our home. Because I did it, but I did it by myself. We have to do it together because you have to speak life. Another big thing is having prayer as a thread throughout, but speaking life, but also cleansing the space that you're in. You can have people in and out of your house. We just had a rack of people working in our home, doing our basement. Now we have to do a sweep. People bring energy in. And I have to, really say, like, you have to be present to that. Even your family members can bring energy in. Anybody can. But for our marriage, your marriage to stay healthy, continue to go through and incorporate all the things that we share, but also sweeping your house and anointing your home. Because when we were working from home for so long, I knew I wanted our bedroom to be a sacred place. That no work, no nothing in our bedroom. So we actually have something that's coming up that I did for that. Not going to tell y'all now. Stay tuned. But
I'm gonna be surprised too because I see you still working in the bedroom.
I'm talking about us discussing work, like our space.
It still happens.
Well, I don't have an
Still.
office or a space yet. I'm waiting for a she shed.
Oh, okay.
But anyway.
Okay. You see how that just happened? You see how that just happened? Admission, right? Bring up the issue, bring up the challenge, and work it out and have the conversation.
Yeah.
And now we got more work to do.
Yeah, always.
Yeah.
But stay true, stay committed, and also stay connected to our Win Love Alliance Facebook group. We're still going to continue this conversation there. And I want you all to chime in, like what you're doing after the aisle to keep your marriage working. All right? See you there. Thank you so much for joining us. And if you'd like to continue to be a part of conversations like this, of course, tune in weekly. But head on over to our Win Love Alliance Facebook group to stay connected with a community of like-minded individuals, all in the search of healthy relationships.